Hey everyone, get ready to take notes because for today's Bible study, we will dive into the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 7 to 8. We will break down the main point of this verse to understand its importance when it comes to finding peace and waiting patiently for the Lord to step in. So without further ado, let's get right into it. These verses addresses the human tendency to become anxious and angry over the seeming prosperity of the wicked. The psalmist David instructs the righteous to remain calm, wait patiently for God's justice, and avoid the destructive temptation to give in to wrath. The core message of this verse is to trust in God's sovereignty rather than reacting with impatience or envy to the apparent injustice in the world. These verses advises the righteous to remain calm and patient in the face of the wicked's temporary prosperity and success. These verses call believers to quiet their hearts, trust in God's ultimate justice, and refrain from destructive anger and worry. We will now break down the verses, starting with verse 7. Be still before the Lord. This is not a passive instruction, but an active command to find peace in God's presence. The Hebrew word for be still, rapha, can also mean to be silent or wait. It calls for quieting one's troubled mind and resting in the certainty of God's sovereignty. Wait patiently for Him. This is an appeal to trust in God's perfect timing. The psalmist assures believers that waiting is not a sign of God's absence, but an opportunity for faith to mature. Fret not yourself. This phrase is repeated throughout Psalm 37. It means do not get angry or do not get worked up. David warns against the anxiety that arises from observing the apparent success of evildoers. The one who prospers in his own way, the man who carries out evil devices. The righteous should not be troubled by the temporary good fortune of those who achieve success through wicked or dishonest schemes. David reminds his audience that this prosperity is fleeting. Now for verse 8. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. David acknowledges that anger is a natural human emotion when faced with injustice. However, he commands his readers to actively choose not to give in to that rage. Wrath is a more intense form of anger, and the psalmist advises abandoning it entirely. Tends only to evil. This is the practical reason for restraining your anger and fretting. Giving in to these emotions will ultimately harm you. It can lead you to resent God, harbor bitterness, or even mimic the wicked behavior you despise. The path of anger leads you away from righteousness and towards evil actions. These verses are part of a larger wisdom psalm that consistently contrasts the destinies of the wicked and the righteous. David's message is clear. The prosperity of the wicked is fleeting.